What role does the body or intuition play in your decision-making process, and how do you personally tune in?
Well, I used to believe that the spiritual realm and intuition implicitly was separate. Like it was this airy space beyond. And I didn't know that the physical body was so important to it. But once I became aware that the physical realm is related to the spiritual realm, that changed everything, actually, because we're here on earth, we're in the physical realm, so it's our connection point. And so ways that I've been able to tap into it. And so I do use my intuition quite a bit. I am a very logic, like I'm very both sides of the brain
Yeah.
kind of person. And so, but I will say that I do lean into my intuition. And mostly I make sure I verify with logic, but for the most part, I trust it, just like we were talking about the next step. But I've also been harnessing this.
Mm.
And it's just, part of working with people and doing this myself, it's like it's become more clear, more clear, more clear. So it's very easy now. But some ways that I like to do this are ways of releasing, because when you think of, like, even right now, I'm in the LA area. I woke up and I had, it's morning here. And so I do things to kind of like release what's in me, just let it out. Sometimes it could be by breathing, like inhaling to the count of 4, hold for 2, exhale for 6. That's a quick and easy way. Any time of day, if I want to release whatever is in me, I'll just do that real quick. Or I'll just close my eyes and get centered, and I'll ask questions to myself, like, and get a feeling. And this is part of just the practice of doing it. Other things, journaling, I do love writing. I know some of your episodes, you've talked to people where there's something very cathartic and powerful and this gets back into the physical part, the
Mm.
connection of mind, thoughts, feelings, and your body, because you're actually physically. And so when I write, I'll just write out any of my thoughts. There's such thing as I've heard of before, like morning pages, or I call it like monkey mind, or I've heard that Tim Ferriss podcast, he talks about that. But it's, you just write out what's in your mind and clear it out, and that creates space. I do meditate, and I love meditating because you have so many thoughts all the time. It's like a bombardment of thoughts. And how do you create the change when all of these thoughts are coming with or without your attention to it?
Mm.
And so to me, it's this releasing is a very important process, and it's ongoing. And so that's one way. I also do a bit of grounding, like where I'll just picture, like get very comfortable and just picture like my body connecting to the earth, and then the air and the heavens, and if you will. Also I am very conscious of spending time to myself, where I must consciously, proactively plan for time with myself.
Mm.
Because I know a lot of your listeners are very empathic, and I'm also empathic, and I know you're very empathic. And
Yeah.
so when you're empathic, it is interesting because there's this tendency to want to go inward to kind of protect yourself and come back to yourself. And I think that's very important. It is also important, though, as we mentioned, of going out and socializing. So it's this balance of social interaction with self interaction and hearing your voice. And so it's really it's important to be very conscious of both, because in order to grow, even having relationships, we can't avoid the relationships. We must engage in those relationships. And even being open, like I do believe our voice, your voice for you, my voice for me, is the most important voice. And I also believe that sometimes other people, like you and I, we talk, there's something you're going to say that's going to help me on my path, right? There's something I may say that's going to help you on your path at this point in time. And people we meet, even with the movie, I mean, all of these amazing women that we've met, we have so much growth opportunity. And sometimes when you're working in this field, it's like, you know, we get in this kind of expert mode, which is, we're all growing and we want to be adults, but there's also this childlike curiosity where we can always grow. And so I would say when people resonate with you, it's important to be able to be open to that and hear their words and hear their input, and also come back and check back in with you always, because this is the most important voice, but it's an exchange, an ongoing exchange and balance of both.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.